we've covered enough ground on this topic. What
Yeah,
else are we
sorry I went
gonna?
off there. I've known a lot about
Oh no problem. It's
that,
good
and I've
that
been
you
wanting to
explained
get
this because I didn't understand it entirely myself. So it's good that you clarified.
Yeah, of course.
So one of the other big stories in the industry is, of course, loot boxes. There's always news coming out about it, like almost every day, about loot boxes with EA or whatever other company. Like every game these days has it. It's kind of sad, but
Hmm.
the most recent story that's caught everyone's attention on this whole loot box situation. Activision had their earnings call yesterday, and they actually announced that they made more money in 2017 from microtransactions than all of their game sales combined. So
Oh,
this is a lot of money that we're talking about here.
yeah,
So you
that's a lot of money.
so at least you understand why these companies aren't willing to give up this practice because man, it's a lot of dough that they would give up if they didn't have it in. Um, I guess games like Overwatch and Call of Duty is their moneymaker because it's Activision and Blizzard.
Hmm.
So I mean, Overwatch's loot box system is less cancerous than Call
Yeah,
of
it's not the
Duty's.
worst. Yeah.
So if I at least hope a good chunk of that is coming from that system and not Call of Duty system where you have weapons that you can only get through supply drops because that's pretty bad.
Hmm.
But what do you think the future of the loot box system is? I feel like the only way for it to change in our favor is if some kind of legislation is passed, which I don't think is going to happen. People have wishful thinking that that's going to happen, but who honestly knows? I mean, maybe the what I'm thinking, maybe like the Europeans might do it before we do, and if they do it, it
Hmm.
might kind of make us do it as well, because a lot of the most of the legislators, they're in their 60s or 70s, so uh,
No.
they don't really have interests from the gaming industry because they don't even understand how the industry works. So who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
who knows what's going to happen with that? I'm just saying, they're not going to lobby for these people because obviously they don't really, they're not connected to the politicians. I don't think in America, and I know a lot of people are trying to promote legislation that bans it and classifies it as gambling and whatnot. But I don't know if they're going to do that. I mean, I think it's wishful thinking, but who knows?
Yeah. I think the same. I think it is wishful thinking, but I also think it's the only thing that's going to keep us. I mean, if we actually do want loot boxes gone, it's one of the only things that's gonna stop it is any sort of legislation. And the thing is, the industry has done this for a long time. They've always milked on the fact that um, that the government, the justice system is really far behind when it comes to digital media.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot of restrictions on digital media. I mean, other than, I mean, the ESRB, but the thing is, like, it's always been a big problem and then a fix. And that's how, I mean, that's how people just work. You know, there's a big problem, then you fix the problem. You don't look into the future and go, this might be an issue. So I think something like that's going to end up having to happen, and that's going to be the worst part too. Like, there's going to be multiple people, probably a couple 100,000 people who just waste all of their earnings on these loot box systems
Or their
because
parents'
it's
earnings.
I mean, it's gambling.
Yeah.
Like, it is.
Yeah,
And
especially when you put weapons involved that you can only get through them. I mean, people are gambling. They end up
yeah,
spending the price of like an entire console, or even more than
I
that.
know. I know. Oh my god. I keep seeing stories of like 10-year-old kids who don't know what they're doing. You know, their mom's credit card is just attached to the game that they're playing. And they're like, you know what? I do want that. And for them, it's free. They're like, whatever. I'm just opening up a loot box. They don't understand that, like, and you find out, like, oh my god, the name of the article too. It'll like always say it because everything's about clickbait, and it goes like, kid spends $20,000
Yeah,
on.
puts his family in debt. They have to sell their house.
Yeah, they're like, oh my god, no, you and that's the thing. Like, these companies have to know. who they're selling their games to. They have to know the age range, and they
Oh
have to
yeah.
know that these kids don't understand. They don't know. It's this crappy manipulation, and it sucks too, because when I make videos about how I feel about loot boxes, I tend to see almost more than half of the people in the comment section saying, no, it's fine. Loot boxes are fine. Microtransactions are okay. I actually prefer them in games.
Oh my God, that's
And
cancer.
no, I'm not kidding. Like, that's
Oh,
actually
I
where we
believe you.
are.
I believe you.
And it just it blows my mind, because I'm like, I remember when the worst thing in video games was on disc DLC. I remember in AAA games on disc DLC, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Now we
You're
miss those
actually going
days.
to Yeah, remember that? Remember that was the worst thing? You were like, God, that sucks.
Yeah, like with
You
Mass
guys are
Effect
actually
3, that was a big thing back in the
Yeah,
day.
you're just holding content off unless I pay more for it. That's bull crap, right? Like, you already had it, just give it to me.
I mean, this
And
microtransaction thing has been going on for a while, but it never hit $60 games. Now, now you pay a full $60. You even pay an extra $50 for a season pass. A lot of times,
I remember
there's still a lot of content that's only
No,
locked
continue.
to, it's locked to supply drops. It's what they're calling Call of Duty or whatever else they're calling other games. And I think FPS games are really the most affected by this, at least
Oh,
from
yeah.
my experience. But man, with Call of Duty, okay, so people shit on Infinite Warfare, right? That's all often regarded as the worst Call of Duty game ever. But here's something that,
Yeah.
and people say Black Ops 3 is the last great Call of Duty, right? Black Ops 3 had at least like 30 exclusive weapons that you can only get in supply drops. If you bought the season pass in Infinite Warfare, you got all those weapons for free. So I mean they probably did that because the game wasn't doing well, so they had to like do some good deeds for the community. But
people were also pissed off about them, like, just sewing their other remaster to it, and was like, you can't have this unless you buy the $180 version.
And then the remastered game had DLC.
Oh my God, I know. And microtransactions.
Yep, they put supply drops in a 10-year-old Call of Duty game.
Yeah.
From 07.
Yeah. And they were like, this is fine. This is fine. There's nothing going on. Like, it's business.
So the
Whatever.
new rumor is apparently 2019 is going to be Modern Warfare 2 remastered. And people are saying, "Oh, I'm so excited for Modern Warfare 2 remastered." Yeah, you're gonna get you're gonna get microtransactions up the ass, buddy.
Yeah, why? Why would anyone be excited for like, I'm not excited for any new
Nostalgia
game coming
sells,
out.
bro.
I was really excited for Red Dead Redemption 2. But after what Take-Two's CEO said, and he said in GTA 5, he said, we're not what did he say? We're not milking the consumer enough. He said something, he pretty much said that there is wood to chop, was his words, and we are under monetizing. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, now I'm not really interested in Red Dead Redemption 2. Like, that is my favorite video game of all time, was Red Dead Redemption 1. And I just don't think I'm interested. You guys are going to milk the crap out of me. Why?
Am I.
Why am I interested?
Red Dead Redemption is one of my favorite games too.
Yeah.
And I was excited for the second one, but
I remember when microtransactions were first implemented in $60 games, and I said, I'm not going to buy a video game if it has microtransactions. Like, that is my stance. I won't buy it. But you can't avoid that today. You cannot avoid a AAA game with microtransactions. I mean, hell, it's even happening sometimes in little indie games. You see it.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell? What? I'm so glad that there are still, like, good developers like CD Projekt Red they said they would never do that. I mean, you never know. Like, in the future, they could just be like, you know what? Whatever, everyone else is doing it.
Well, when Treyarch first announced Black Ops 3, because Advanced Warfare was the first Call of Duty that had supply drops in them. And so people were obviously upset about that because the supply drops, I've had the game for 3 years and I still play it every now and then from time to time. There's still weapons that I still didn't get, like, to this day, 3 years later from grinding and shit. Still didn't get them. So, Treyarch said that, oh, don't worry, we're never going to put supply drops in our game. Yeah, what happened with that? So don't listen to
Ubisoft said the same.
Promises.
Ubisoft was one of the worst.
They usually don't follow through, so don't be too excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
Although the thing about CD
Yeah.
Projekt Red, they're single player only games usually, so there's really less opportunity for them to have microtransactions anyway. I know Shadow of War had them, and that's a single player game, but I mean,
Mhm.
online multiplayer is really where the money is when it comes to that kind of
It
system.
is, yeah. And the industry is trying to go multiplayer only recently, which to me always felt like an unfinished project. I didn't want Star Wars Battlefront, um, because there wasn't going to be. I always loved single player campaigns. Like I always feel like, at least there's something here that if I didn't want to play online, I could enjoy a good story. And even that's going away. When
Oh
was the
yeah,
last time you played a video game and it had a really, really good story that you were like, oh my God,
Fallout
like
4 maybe.
Fallout 4?
Bethesda games pretty
Yeah, that
much,
would make
but
sense.
except
That would make
Bethesda
sense.
never releases games, so
Yeah. Yeah. I
Elder
mean, I
Scrolls 6
played,
is the new
okay,
Half-Life 3.
so you're going to get a little upset at me. And this is actually my next video that's coming out. It's coming out tomorrow.
Oh boy.
But I talk about pretty much this, and I'm talking about how stories in video games. I never realized how bad it had gotten until I went and played Tomb Raider 2013. And you're gonna hate me for this, for the first time. I'd never played Tomb Raider 2013.
Oh, I never played
And,
it.
and then the other day, I jumped on. I was like, I'm gonna give this a shot, and the story was astounding.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, why have I not felt this way playing a video game in a really long time? I had like I thought about it, like Titanfall 2. I loved playing the game, but the story, psh, I didn't care at all.
Mm.
I've been playing AAA games a lot recently. I've been trying to play a lot more of them, get the stories finished. Complete games. I played Shadow of Mordor, didn't care about the story. What other games have I beaten? It's every single game that I've beaten recently. I have
Yeah.
not really cared, other than Tomb Raider 2013.
The funny thing is,
And
Call of Duty
it
still
kinda,
comes out with good campaigns.
yeah, no, I heard World War II. I heard World War II had a really good campaign. I haven't played it yet.
The only problem is I don't really play, like, it might piss a lot of people off. If I see an FPS game that's single player only, I automatically skip it because I don't play first person shooter games personally, or even third person shooter games
Really?
just for
What about
single
like
player.
Wolfenstein?
Never.
I heard
Nope.
Doom.
That has online. They have multiplayer for Doom, but no, I mean game. So if I want a single player game, I'm gonna go to BioWare, or I'm gonna go to Bethesda. Like, okay, so if it's an RPG, for example,
RPGs.
if it's an RPG like a Mass Effect or a Fallout, I do not want any multiplayer in it. So don't call me just like a multiplayer freak. Like, there's certain games where I think there should be multiplayer, and there shouldn't. I think the thing about FPS games that only have a single player campaign, they get old very fast. Like, you play the campaign for like what, the most an FPS campaign is what, like 10 hours maybe, and then you're done. So I think with FPS games, to make them last longer, they should have multiplayer. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's just how I feel about FPS games, but that doesn't mean they should have all these microtransactions and all this DLC crap and whatever. But I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing, is like monetizing every little thing is the industry's idea now, and it sucks because it just kind of shows me that the passion for making a good story, for making a really good video game, for the most part, is pretty much dead. At least in the industry, like it's pretty much they don't care. They just want the money, and they're other than that, and it's a lot of people say developers, and this has been a thing around the internet. It's not oftentimes not the developers who want to put it in. A lot of the times it's the publishers or the people above them. But either way, there's just no passion, at least not there.